An uprising in Libya against the 42-year rule of Muammar Gaddafi appears to be widening. Anti-government protesters have told Al Jazeera of what they call a massacre on Saturday in the town of Benghazi, with tanks and snipers firing on demonstrators. Most of the violence over the last few days has centered around Libya's second biggest city, but bloody clashes have also taken place in towns across the east. And now we're getting reports of fighting in the western city of Nalot and in the capital Tripoli. Omar Al-Saleh reports.
Thousands gather near Al-Bayda main mosque in northeastern Libya, a city rocked by days of anti-Gaddafi protests and a scene of death and violent clashes. Chanting, "There is no God but Allah," mourners carry in a coffin a dead protester. And this is what they faced. 50mm caliber bullet cases scattered on this field. Not far away, a security building seems to be set on fire, falling into the hands of angry residents. Some are arming themselves. This man walking away with a helmet and what appears to be an artillery round. In other parts of Al-Bayda, the scene is similar. More chaos and the sound of live fire echoing. Anti-Gaddafi graffiti sprayed on walls and a voice through a loudspeaker saying, "There is no state here." Reports of casualties running high and constantly rising. The city's hospital seems overwhelmed. In the morgue, the unlucky ones are waiting to be buried, and more are still coming. In nearby Benghazi, an ongoing battle, the sound of bullets and more lives lost. This man looks at his killed relative. The man murmurs he was not armed. More gunshots as clouds overshadow the sky. Also from Benghazi, this video, which we cannot independently verify, claims to show what protesters say is an African mercenary hired by the Libyan regime to attack demonstrators. But on Libyan state television, a different picture. No mention of anti-government protests. Instead, supporters of the Libyan leader brought out onto the streets of the capital Tripoli. Information from Libya is hard to get, with communications and the internet disrupted. But what's almost certain, Libya is expecting more unrest in the days to come. Omar Al-Saleh, Al Jazeera.
Well, we spoke to two witnesses to the violence on the phone from Benghazi.
It's really a big massacre what's going on here. They're killing kids and young boys, young adults, and it's really horrible. I know definitely from another hospital, it's called the Jazeera Hospital. They have around 150 people from injured and dead around the Bayda area, which is about 200 kilometers east of Benghazi. Definitely there were foreign people coming in, and also, and we heard now in Tripoli, not in Benghazi, not yet.
It's actually a massacre that's happening here in Benghazi. We're in Jazeera Hospital. We're actually about the past 3 days, there only been 58 patients died. 58, ma'am. They're not like less or more, and a lot of 100 wounded people. Besides the military forces are actually shooting real bullets on us, on the real patients. Actually, there are people who are just walking from school, walking from the mosque, doing their regular jobs, and they got shouted. And when actually the people tried to fight them back, you know what they did? They just called assassins, African assassins. I saw them by my own eyes. Okay, shooting all the people. Okay, shooting at the head and shooting and vital organs. There's an 8-year-old boy who died actually because of a gunshot in his head. What did he do? He didn't go and these kind of political things.
A Libyan government newspaper editor has told Al Jazeera the protesters will fail in bringing down the government. He says the situation in Libya cannot be compared with Egypt.
I am sure that the Libyan House will sit together and these matters will be determined in the coming hours. All attempts to gamble with the security and future of this country will be doomed to failure. There are those with hidden agendas, those who are spiteful and envious. We are not Tunisia or Egypt. We, the Libyan people, are completely different. That is not to belittle other peoples, but we have our own means. Yes, there are many demands. The position is clear with the executive establishment in Libya. Saif al-Islam has a reformist approach. The leader has been urgent for dealing with many matters which you are all aware of.